Tapping in.
Are we live?
We've already touched in this podcast on learning, right? And I love to be able to learn from others. I particularly love to be able to learn from the mistakes of others, right? Sometimes somebody else goes through that, so you don't have to go through that. You feel me?
As such is the case in our stumble upon topic for the day. Turns out that there was a TikToker who, in protest, and I quote, slept at his cubicle inside of the office. Right, the man came in and slept at his workplace in the office, saying that it was a protest. Shortly after that, he was fired from his job a few days later. So immediately after seeing this, I had to send it directly to my friend, especially because I was also getting some people sending that information, sending me that stuff, be like, yo, check this out, which usually tells me something to talk about. So when I saw this, I said, let me send this over to Miles and see what my brother thinks about sleeping in the office and putting it on TikTok.
I have a lot of thoughts about this because there's two whole conversations to have there. Is one, sleeping in your office, right? Having to be put in that situation, but then also to record it and put it on TikTok. That's a whole nother element. Man, when I see this, I think because you introduced me to this, and this story has developed over time, right?
Developed,
right? Because my man looks mighty comfortable there, right? He looks clearly. This is a man who is committed to this project. Am I correct to say that at first this was a protest?
So he calls it.
Yeah, as much as the jams might contradict that. Shout out to the YouTube audience that can see my man's jams right here, his pajamas, right? This was a protest at the beginning, or no? I'm tripping.
He called it a protest at the beginning. So the story goes is that this gentleman, I believe his name is Simon, finds out that, hey, he's in the city, rent's too high, price of living is going up high. Let me decide to move into my cubicle. Moves into his cubicle, records it on TikTok, and then 3 days later, gets fired. Saying that it is in the name of protesting, not being given a increase like he had asked to, or the company not allowing him to move around. So, at the basis of what can we not use the word protest?
I don't know. We haven't because there's so much that I agree with and disagree with in this, right? So
what I disagree with is TikTok. I disagree that you can't call it a protest and then record yourself doing something and then put it up. Obviously, you're gonna get fired. That's like obvious activity to get fired on. That's a clear basis. You can't do that at the office.
But even those are two different things, right? Even one of them is like, all right, wait, can you put it on TikTok? Because maybe that's us being old and saying like TikTok is not a space for serious conversations. But also, yes, you're gonna get fired. You know that you're gonna get fired. Know that going into it.
So the reason why the protest would make sense is because if you're looking at if you forget unemployment rate, let's just look at housing prices. Housing prices have soared in the last 10 years, so to speak. Millennials are now, because we're coming in with the most amount of student loan debt, we are also the generation that is buying less homes as we're getting older. So you're seeing a crazy increase in rent prices, 16% in some places, 20% across the year, bro. 20% of rent across the US over the last year has shot up. So people can afford stuff, and he's living in Seattle. That's an expensive city. So I understand, my brother, but putting it on TikTok is how you get fired.
But then again, if he started it off as a protest, part of the protest is awareness. So you gotta put out what you're doing somewhere else. Otherwise, you're just squatting, right? You can, you know what I'm saying? So he had to put it out like to have a cause. If otherwise, it's not a cause if you don't tell anybody. That's just chilling.
So if say the activity that was being TikTok was this man. I don't know what would constitute as the right type of protest activity.
To the desk? Is that what you're saying? That's
yes.
what it should have did.
That type of behavior, I would totally understand if he changed himself to the desk.
Yeah.
But he was dancing around, literally. You know what I'm saying? He was dancing around, having what I would call maybe too much fun on camera for a protest.
Now you protest judging. I
I'm
think
protest judging.
I think so. You can dance at a protest, depending on the protest, depending on what's going on. But so here's my perspective on this is like, all right. So my man, I love that he's bringing light.
This is me.
Oh no, I don't like this video because he's sang in it. I think I didn't like that, but I like that he's bringing light to the issues. The fact that we're even having a conversation about it, I think, speaks to the fact that whether or not he took this seriously as a protest, the fact that we're at least having a conversation about housing, right? That we're and access to housing and the struggle that a lot of people are going through, right? I think that's important. Now, my man, again, I can't stress this enough. You had to know you was gonna get fired, right? I was very upset to learn after the fact of the video that it wasn't until after he TikToked his, office sleepover that he reached out to friends and said, "Hey, can I stay with you?" And then decided, looked up like an Airbnb. Like, I get it, it's expensive. And to his credit, he was in the process of looking for an apartment like prior to even moving into the office space. But there's a leap to an opportunity to get attention that I question, is what I'll say.
That's kind of like the hallmark of what we're seeing people utilize phones for and technology for, is to be able to record themselves just jumping into these situations. And like, it happens all the time. It's just, forget him, look at Hush Puppy, right, who is this big time scammer, um big time scammer known as the king of floss on Instagram. Turns out the feds are tracking his spending and utilized a lot of the evidence that was put up on his Instagram page to be able to convict him. He's now spending 26 years or whatever the case is in jail, all because of the phone.
See, I think that's part of it, right? In the same way that I'm saying you got to know you're going to get fired, you got to know you're going to be found out. You're putting it out there for people to see, and that includes law enforcement agencies. That includes people that, like in this person's case, the company that the person was working for. Like, come on, man, you got to be smart. And I think there's a disconnect now between what people are willing to risk and how much of themselves people are willing to put out there. I don't know. Is it that there's an increased perception of how much it's worth to get your 15 seconds of fame, right? Because people have an opportunity to monetize that now in a way that they never have before. So are people willing to make these sacrifices more in this day and age, thinking that they're going to be able to monetize those quick followers, those views, and whatever, however long it lasts?
I'm hoping that we all realize that it is possible to have a healthy private life and separate that from what your online life is, especially if it's coming from a business perspective. But also at the same time, there's different ways of engaging with this cell phone and different ways of engaging with the internet. Some people use it for OnlyFans and make a killing on OnlyFans. Check out our OnlyFans episode. But then there's also some people that utilize it very camera facing, and that is their brand, is the life that they share, which is an entire ecosystem of money on its own. Marketing companies are built just to manage and pay those types of people. So get your money, boo boo. Support that totally. But it's just that line of wanting to seek clout when there's no true value back in. Like you see in the Hush Puppy case, this man just wanted to flex just to flex. Didn't have to.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, I mean, if that's what you want to do, like, if some people, they really enjoy that. They enjoy making the content, they enjoy the interaction with the people. So I don't ever want to judge anybody's like hobby or anything like that. But I just also want to be sure that we know, like, first of all, don't put yourself at risk for that opportunity for attention in any way. And then also, like, we get into the space where you putting other people at risk for clout, right? Like, we see little stuff like the challenges of going to store and make a mess. Somebody got to clean that up. Go in the store and throw something at somebody. You know what I mean? Like, to
I hate that.
even more crazier trends that we've seen. And people are really getting like locked up behind this. There's real consequences behind the stuff that you do. And I don't know if people are always considering all of those consequences, man. You know?
Nah, it's not, because also people get like, more younger people are utilizing the internet, and because more younger people are utilizing the internet, just understanding consequences at that point is difficult. You think back on what we were doing at that age and think about what we thought of consequences at that time. It was completely out of the window. We're doing, like, you think about the things young boys do growing up and now put the internet in it. We were doing ramps off of crazy things. We were risking our lives in the name of fun.
I
We just did
at all.
recording.
The internet was around when we were teenagers. Vine was popping, was cracking when we were at the height of hanging out and being out. And it ain't too many crazy vines of me out there. You know what I'm saying? Despite what my homie Casey might have on his phone, the homie that always got his camera out. Everybody got a homie that always got their camera out and be capturing the good moments and the bad. But I don't got nothing crazy out there. You know what I'm saying? And so when I'm talking about, so like, and that's not only, and it's not only young people that's acting a fool on the internet. I see some grown people. You talked about the dude that broke into the office, the couple that broke into the Walmart and stayed fake overnight past closing and then left in the morning and then came back to get arrested. They wasn't that much younger than us. You know what I'm saying?
Came back to get arrested is
They
my
did.
favorite part of that sentence. Came back to get arrested because that's what happened.
So I think it's not a youth specific thing. I think we're in this age now where, and it's like, it's coupled with a lot of things. There's this extra pressure to be like, have a side hustle. Everybody's got to be hustling. Everything is get you like, you got to monetize the ways in which your hobbies and stuff like that. And it's crazy because it almost feels like the government is tricking us. Like things are getting worse. They're not paying y'all more. It's like, get a second job. That's what you're supposed to do. Drive Uber. You know what I mean? And while shout out to everybody with side hustles and to the ambition of that, I think people are looking to more and more like easy, close proximity ways to be like, how can I gain some attention right quick? How can I gain some followers really quick and then start to monetize by doing either the least, by showing you just my life and everything that I'm doing, or by doing the most real quick and not thinking about the consequences, like moving into your office or trying to stay overnight in a Walmart. Like, y'all tripping.
Yeah. So attention is like candy. It's empty calories. And it comes cheap. You can even purchase like stream bots that will, increase the likes on your pictures and tap into an algorithm. So it's like cheap calories of attention satisfaction. And we all get addicted to that because we do need attention. We need attention. Every human needs attention, approval, acknowledgement, encouragement. All of those things are like integral to our nature as people. And so, like, the candy version of that is the attention that everyone is seeking. So you can become addicted to it, and then boom, you find yourself getting locked up because you're doing some dumb Walmart stunt with your girlfriend.
It's like I think a lot of it too has to do with like shortcuts, right? Like the phone technology creates so many real shortcuts to be able to engage with people across like, a wide geographic area, to be able to engage with people of different cultures, to be able to learn information through videos, through text, through books. But and like there are also shortcuts. We see people get rich off of what seems like nothing, right? We see influencers that seem like they're only just making videos of themselves and getting money. And then how are they able to give away $10,000? How are these guys able to drive a Ferrari or get a Ferrari for their video? And we're not really thinking about like, first of all, a lot of what you're seeing is only what they want you to see. But also like the shortcuts in life, they not worth it. And even if you see somebody else and it seems like they got rich quick, you don't know their journey. You're not thinking about not knowing their journey. And we're not thinking about, that comparison is so easy. It seemed like you could see so many people who got it, and we're not thinking about how it might be different for us to get there, and that it might not be worth it to expose ourselves in some of the ways we're doing that.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy, and that rings true in the that rings true in this world where everyone is sharing everything. Everyone's life is better than yours. Everyone is having a better time, and everyone's only posting the best of their times. And if it's we'll look for reasons to do that. Call it Throwback Thursday. Remember this good time? Like we're all about preserving the best form of ourselves and presenting that to people. Um that's like our representative. Your online profile is who a lot of people reflect a projection of who they want themselves to be. And so they compare who they want themselves to be with other people's projections of themselves. And now you have your fake self competing with somebody else's fake self, and nothing is real. Nothing is real. And so that was a big reason why, for me, social media was very difficult to be able to handle. I understand that being exposed to that many different things at times becomes overwhelming for me, and so that's why I step back. I'll be very tentative with how I utilize it, set timers on my phone, that type of thing, because it's, it forces you sometimes to have thoughts that you're not even trying to think of. Like, you open up my phone, it takes you straight to big booty woman. And that is just being honest. And that is, yo, check this out. That is not just me though. That's not just me. A lot of men speak about Instagram making their algorithm so that they're constantly looking at women. Like, no matter, you will like houses and whatever, and you'll have houses and women all the time, and it's always women that are close towards your proximity. So
Mm.
like, now you're forced to think about that, and you haven't even, that wasn't even in your agenda to think about, So that relationship with social media as well, and besides just like the fake profile image.
Mm. I think a lot of it really is connected to thinking about what you're doing and just being intentional. Whether that's thinking about, if your choice is to like, yo, this is me, this is my presence on social media, this is my presence on the internet, this is what I'm doing, I'm sharing this part of myself with the world. Think about why you're doing it, thinking about what you get from that, and make sure that you have a diverse uh group of areas in your life where you can get that same thing, whether it's that dopamine, whether it's that attention, whether it's affection. Just make sure that you're not only getting that from the internet. I guess would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's why I don't even touch my phone until I'm done reading and meditating. Every day, maybe I'll cheat on the weekends. Weekends, let the let things loose a little bit. But for the most part, I'll try to meditate before I touch my phone.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's thoughtfulness at its best, right? Not only sitting and thinking and being alone with your thoughts, but being intentional about clearing your headspace and getting to a good mental place. Like, I not avoid. I avoid that. I don't like to think, be alone with my thoughts. It's very scary. I advise everybody to spend more time meditating if you can, or find your meditative activity, whatever it is that refills your cup.